When the Falkland Islands were invaded by Argentina in 1982, a British task force was dispatched immediately to take them back. Of the thousands of men sent to the South Atlantic with the Falkland Islands task force, there were just 2 Army bomb disposal experts. Trained on land, they were quite unprepared for what they found within days of their arrival. Working on a ship in what became known as Bomb Alley, they showed outstanding courage and determination when faced with a situation from which there was no retreat.
The government has now decided that a large task force will sail as soon as all preparations are complete.
Hello?
Sergeant Major O.C. here. This Falklands business. They're going to need us down there. The drawback is there's only room for 2 of our men. How do you feel about it?
Okay. I'm one. Who's the other?
I was thinking of Staff Sergeant Prescott.
Do a good job.
My initial reaction once I knew that I would be going to the Falklands was one of excitement. I'd trained many years and was an experienced bomb disposal officer, but everything I'd done had been in peacetime. And here was an opportunity to take part in a historic event and, I suppose, do things for real.
John Phillips joined the Royal Engineers in 1961 and had worked his way through the ranks to Sergeant Major. Staff Sergeant Jim Prescott was attached to the same squadron, although they had never worked together before. Both had impressive records and between them had over 20 years' experience in bomb disposal.
John and Jim had been selected for the task because of their suitability for this type of operation. They had the right training, the right experience, the right knowledge. But what one cannot train a man for is courage, and in dealing with this sort of situation, I believe they exhibited courage over and above that could be reasonably expected from them.
Most people think of courage as being something that's done impulsively. You charge at a machine gun post or you rescue somebody from under fire. In bomb disposal, it's a different sort of courage. It is a prolonged courage. You have to remain calm, cool over a long period. You cannot afford to be impulsive. You've got to think carefully about everything you're doing. And bear in mind, at the same time, you must be flexible enough to make a complete change of plan if something should go wrong.
Right then.
Right then. I'll give you a ring when I get down to Southampton.
Don't leave it too late, because the kids will want to talk to you.
Probably won't come to anything.
Come on now. Jim will be waiting.
On the day that I left, it was a thing we'd done many times before. I mean, I'd packed my kit, I was on my way to do a job, and Chris, my wife, had seen me do that many times. Just on this particular occasion, the hug was a bit tighter than usual.
With less than a week's notice, John and Jim left Southampton on the cruise liner Canberra. It was to start its 8,000-mile journey to the Falkland Islands, joining a fleet of 99 other ships, making up a force of 27,000 troops.
My darling Chris, I still don't know how to say farewell, do I? I honestly thought we wouldn't be sailing. The send-off from Southampton was a bit emotional. I don't know how it looked on TV, but it certainly brought a lump to your throat. There's lots of entertainment and the morale is really high. We get a different film every night and the food is out of this world. The commandos and marines are wearing the ship's deck away with the running. We go round and round, and if they keep this up, they'll be knackered by the time we get there.
Yeah, this cabin would normally cost us £2 grand.
£2 grand? You're joking, that's up. Good God. Well, we better make the most of it then. Do you fancy silver service tonight?
No, not again. It was unbelievable, really. I mean, it was just, we were going on a cruise. We all thought that we were actually going to be turned back. We didn't think we would be going all the way. and we were all in luxurious accommodation, and the bars were available to us. We had silver service. All the crew of the Canberra were on board, providing the service they would normally do for people on a cruise. It was not conducive to going to war.
The mood was to change when the Argentinian cruiser Belgrano was hit, followed closely by the sinking of HMS Sheffield a couple of days later.
Well, people did begin to worry about themselves then. I mean, the training got more intense. People got more switched on to the situation they were in, the fact that they were actually going to fight, to go to war.
With the task force in the final stages of its journey, John Phillips was about to learn of a major problem.
Yes, I'd like to send a signal to SS Canberra. A market for the urgent attention of Warrant Officer John Phillips from EOD. That's Explosive Ordnance Disposal.
Once a team had deployed, we found there was a potential problem with one of the vital pieces of equipment, the rocket wrench. This is used for defusing bombs and requires cartridges to operate it. We found some of the cartridges supplied had been the wrong size and could potentially jam in the rocket wrench.
Knowing that around half of the cartridges wouldn't work with their most vital piece of equipment, Guy Lucas telexed John immediately.
By the time we received the signal, it was absolutely too late. We couldn't do a thing about it. The signal had come on board several days earlier. They didn't know who it was for. They didn't understand what EOD was. We were just two men amongst many thousands. And it turns out that that signal was a critical signal, but it meant that our options had been reduced as to what techniques we could use to render safe unexploded bombs.
By now, John and Jim had transferred ships and were only days away from the inevitable conflict. The task force arrived in San Carlos Bay on the morning of Friday, the 21st of May. Initially, it was peaceful, a beautiful day.
When the first air raid came in, we had our 25-minute warning, and the klaxons were going off, warning that they were coming in. The closer the ships got, the more these klaxons and hooters were going off. And then it became pretty hectic. They'd fly in pairs. You could first of all see them over the horizon attacking other ships, and then they would come across, one acting as a gunner and the other as a bomber, and then turning around and coming back again. They came back so low, and so, it was such a hell of a noise, we could actually see the pilots. Because it was such a new experience to most people, everybody wanted to see it. It was like an air show. You could see what was going on and you were watching, but then you realised that these were trying to kill people.
Brace! Down, down, down!
It had been an extraordinary day. While the troop landing had been a success, the Navy paid dearly. HMS Ardent sunk with a loss of 22 of her crew, 4 other warships hit, 2 by bombs which failed to explode.
My darling family, I hope you never get to read this letter. And I'm not posting it, but putting it into the envelope they gave me for my personal effects. I'm being picked up at first light to deal with an unexploded bomb on one of the ships. I don't mind admitting it, I'm very frightened. We have taken a pounding today. Those Mirage jets are getting through and bombing us. I want to tell you how I miss and love you all so very much. You're the girl of my dreams. You should be okay financially, so no problem there. My only regret is not seeing my children grow up and get married. I fancied myself as a granddad. Don't grieve, Chris. Life must go on. I'm sure you'll find happiness in the future. Smasher like you. God bless my darling. I love you all.
Many people sat down that night and wrote letters. It began to dawn on everybody that you may not get away with this. You may be killed.
I wondered if you could pass this on, if anything should happen.
Of course, sir.
Cheers.
The next morning, they were tasked to HMS Argonaut to deal with their first unexploded bomb.
When they were called upon to do this work in a ship, they were in a completely unfamiliar environment. Not a hostile environment, but certainly an unnatural one as far as they were concerned. On a land scenario, you evacuate people as far away as possible before you deal with the bomb. In a ship, of course, there is only a very limited distance that you can evacuate them. And this, I think, must have generated extra pressure, because normally they're accustomed to dealing with the risk just to themselves. Everybody else has been evacuated. Here, they knew that the whole of the ship's crew depended on what they did.
There it is.
All yours, good luck.
Thanks. Oh, can you get the captain to clear everyone to the upper decks?
Yep, certainly will.
Christ, it's British.
It transpired that the British had sold bombs to Argentina before the war. While John and Jim had some knowledge of British bombs, their training was specifically on those of other countries.
Jim, pass us your torch. Okay, Jim. It's not good.
Armed. Yeah. It's a Type 78.
It's a multi-way, so why didn't it go off when you hit the ship?
God knows. Look, we'll need the rocket wrench.
Right.
Approximately 10% of all munitions, either dropped or fired, will not explode. If it's by design, there is a reason for that. It is either because they want the explosion to be delayed, or that the bomb will be booby-trapped in some way to attack the bomb disposal officer. And all these sort of thoughts are going through your mind as you're identifying the type of weapon you've got to deal with. The fuse or pistol is the mechanism which detonates the bomb. And what you're trying to do is to separate that fuse or pistol from the main charge. There are several ways you can do it, but the particular equipment we had is called a rocket wrench. And the way a rocket wrench works is it's a circular tool fired by two 50 caliber cartridges, which you clamp onto the fuse or pistol, fire it remotely, which creates a Catherine wheel effect, which the theory is will then spin the pistol or fuse out of the bomb, therefore rendering it safe.
Okay, better get back to the safe point. You are joking.
Yes.
Continuity?
Yeah, continuity. Firing now! Sounded all right?
We were very relieved that it had gone off well for the first time. We dealt with many World War II German unexploded bombs, but it was all peacetime stuff. This was the first time that we'd actually rendered a true enemy weapon safe. Now that we got one job out of the way, we were confident that the rocket wrench would work fine. We'd only used 2 of our precious cartridges. It's only afterwards that you begin to realise the danger you were in. When we got back aboard Lancelot, we went into the sergeant's mess and we got cups of tea each, and then it began to dawn on me, and I began to shake. My hand was shaking, and I was shaking so much that there was actually waves on top of the cup of tea. We realised that this was a bigger problem than we thought. We were the only 2 people down there with the correct equipment to deal with this type of threat. Obviously, the more jobs you do, the greater the odds are against you being successful.
The next day, Sunday the 23rd of May, brought another wave of Argentinian airstrikes. HMS Antelope was subjected to a raid of Skyhawks and was hit by 2 bombs. A steward was killed and 2 other crew were seriously injured. The bombs had penetrated the ship's hull but failed to explode.
The 2 bombs, each weighing about 1,000 pounds, half a ton, hit the ship at about 500 miles an hour, and their kinetic energy made an immense amount of damage through and around the ship, and as a result, having bounced off bulkheads, deckheads, blasted through hatches, they were quite difficult to locate.
Frightened the life out of me. Came straight through and landed on a petty officer's bunk. Made a hell of a mess. This one's in the air conditioning unit. It's through here.
KG?
One of ours again.
Yeah. It's not going to be as easy as the last one. It's damaged. Take a look.
See what you mean?
Right, let's get the rocket wrench.
To the life of me, I can't understand why the bomb didn't go off. Because it was armed, the pistol or fuse had been hit, therefore it should have gone off. There's no reason I could think of why that bomb had not gone off.
All bombs that are dropped on a target are designed to kill or to destroy the target. When they fail to function as designed, then the bomb disposal operator is really having a battle with the fuse designer. He has made that fuse so that it cannot be defeated. The bomb disposal operator, on the other hand, is sure that he could render that fuse safe. And so this constant battle goes on whenever a bomb disposal operator deals with an unexploded bomb.
When you've got a damaged pistol, you don't know what has happened inside. You don't know whether it's made it more sensitive or what. With the state of the pistol as it was, I was very conscious of the fact that the more pressure I put on, the more danger I was creating for myself. So I put it on as tight as I did.
Firing now.
Jim!
I'm gonna need more cartridges. The thing's spun off.
With a damaged pistol, the clamps were not touching the whole of the circumference on the pistol, and therefore we weren't getting the purchase that we really needed to pull it out.
Firing now. Firing now.
Having waited a safe period again, I then went forward and found exactly the same result. The rocket wrench had just spun off and had not done its job. Now I was getting very concerned because I'd used 6 cartridges. Knowing we had another bomb to deal with, I was fast running out of options, fast running out of cartridges.
I have to do it by hand.
Don't be bloody stupid. You know what the book says.
The book? Oh, yes, I know what the book says.
Oh, you have read it then?
Throw the bloody thing overboard?
Not when it's armed. You could try the de-armor.
There's no other choice.
The easy alternative would have been just to walk away. But this they couldn't do. They are bomb disposal operators. They are on that ship to make that bomb safe so that the crew can survive. And so they have to do the only other alternative, which is to use the de-armor.
The de-armor option is a risky option, whereas with the rocket wrench you're spinning it off and separating the pistol from the bomb in that way. With the de-armor, you're knocking it off, you're cutting it off, you're hitting it hard. It's like hitting a nut with a sledgehammer. And it is a risky option, but it's the only option we had left because we were fast running out of cartridges.
Captain speaking. The bomb disposal team have made 3 unsuccessful attempts to defuse the bomb and are now going to use another method. That's all.
Firing now.
I was floating through the air, really. Everything was in slow motion. I was going down a tunnel with a little light on the end of it. I thought I was dead. Jim! Jim!
We can't do anything for him. Come on.
What I did then was follow the sailor, because I didn't know how to get out of the ship. And of course then self-preservation takes over. On the way to the escape hatch, we had to go past Jim Prescott. Jim, I could see Jim was dead. That he still had his glasses on. But as I said, self-preservation.
Where's Jim? Jim will be all right. Look after yourself. Jim! Jim. Come on, hang on. You're all right.
I was trying to convince them that they should go down and get Jim out. I kept asking for him, and I kept insisting that they go down and get him out. But apparently it's naval tradition that they don't take corpses out. And so Jim stayed on the ship. All I was thinking of was surviving. I knew I'd been severely injured. I knew I'd lost my arm. And I just kept sitting there thinking that, you know, I was going to stay awake, I was going to survive. And I was thinking of Chris. And the fact that I was going to live. That was my concern, I was going to live.
The blaze spread out of control. The ship's firefighting systems were crippled, and finally the decision was taken to abandon ship. HMS Antelope later exploded after all on board were taken off without further loss of life. John Phillips was rushed to the field hospital at Ajax Bay, but his injuries were severe and doctors were unable to save his arm.
At the time, I didn't care either way. I was alive. And to me, it was a bonus because I should have died that day, and I didn't. So the loss of an arm was not too bad.
After the Falkland War, John came back to the Bomb Disposal Regiment. I think this reflects his determination and courage to continue his military career. And indeed, he dealt with additional bombs after this incident. And I think he probably showed as much courage then, or if not more, than he did when he was in the Falklands War.
I was called to the Colonel's office who informed me that I'd been awarded the DSC. And I didn't know what this was. I'd never heard of the Distinguished Service Cross, and he had to explain to me what it was. And I consider it an honour that somebody would want to recognise what we did in the Falklands. And at the same time, he told me that Jim Prescott had been awarded the Conspicuous Gallantry Medal, which is an extremely rare award and very fitting, actually, for the work that Jim did.